Hi, welcome to FinFlow Podcast. Today, we're embarking on a deeply insightful journey, I think. It's a topic that truly defines so much of our modern lives, the value of money. And specifically, we're exploring this really interesting dynamic of production over consumption. So let's just dive right in, shall we? Okay, get this. Imagine someone like at the absolute pinnacle of their career, someone who's amassed an almost unimaginable fortune. We're talking about the legendary professional boxer, heavyweight champion Mike Tyson. Now, you'd naturally assume, right? With over $300 million accumulated during his prime, he'd be financially secure. Forever. For generations, even. Yet, and this is pretty startling, in 2003, Mike Tyson declared bankruptcy, reportedly burdened with something like $30 million in debt. I mean, how does that even begin to happen? And look, this isn't just some weird anomaly confined to, celebrity circles. Not at all. Across the country right now, we're witnessing record high credit card debt. It's just an invisible, kind of crushing weight on millions and millions of people. And here's a really thought-provoking statistic. I found this fascinating. A study revealed that even among workers earning $100,000 or more a year, I mean, that's a truly comfortable income. By most standards, a full 1 in 10, we're still living paycheck to paycheck, 1 in 10, owning six figures. So this begs a fundamental question, doesn't it? What's the ultimate purpose of acquiring wealth, of, earning all this money, if the core challenge truly lies not just in our ability to generate it, but in our capacity to actually manage it, to retain it? It often feels like our very psychological makeup, our sort of inherent human wiring, might be quietly working against financial sensibility. It's weird. So our mission in this deep dive is to try and unravel this pervasive disconnect, to confront the mystery of why so many of us struggle with money despite, our best efforts, and hopefully bring to light a more robust framework for understanding it, a perspective that kind of surprisingly often gets missed in traditional education and, frankly, a lot of financial advice.
It's quite remarkable, isn't it? How these individual stories like Tyson's and these broad economic indicators just sort of come together. They really highlight a fundamental misconception, or maybe, a profound misapplication of money's true nature. These aren't just isolated financial mishaps. They really compel us to look beyond the simple act of earning and to genuinely scrutinize our deeper, often subconscious relationship with money itself. It really helps us appreciate that the sheer volume of money flowing into your life, no matter how substantial it seems, offers absolutely no guarantee of financial stability or lasting freedom. The real challenge for so many people isn't necessarily about how much money initially enters our lives. It's much more about what happens to it once it's actually there, what we do with it. And this naturally leads us to a really crucial question for you listening right now. What does money truly represent to you? Does it often feel like it just flows in one moment only to kind of rush out the next, almost automatically? Have you ever found yourself in a maybe financially vulnerable position?
Perhaps captivated by the allure of a get-rich-quick scheme or, the promises of some investment guru online, reflecting on these personal experiences can be incredibly insightful as we start to unpack this topic further.
Indeed. Yeah, that personal reflection is key. Okay, so let's strip this down, right down to its essence. What is money, really? I mean, most of us, if you ask us, we'd probably quickly define money as a medium of exchange, a convenient tool. It helps us buy things, sell things, trade goods and services. Pretty straightforward. When you grab your morning coffee or get your salary for a week's work, money is that universal go-between. It's like the lubricant for countless daily transactions. And look, while that definition is certainly foundational, it just feels somewhat incomplete, doesn't it? A bit dry, maybe. It doesn't quite capture the deeper, more, profound essence of what money signifies in our lives, in the economy. To truly grasp its power, I believe we need to kind of evolve our understanding a bit. I think a more potent way to conceptualize money is as an expression of value. Think about it this way. When you willingly hand over your hard-earned cash for something, anything, it's because you perceive the value of that item or that service to be equivalent to, or maybe even greater than, the amount you're paying. Sure, the market, through collective agreement and countless transactions, often sets the price.
Yes.
But the underlying principle remains this exchange of perceived value. You're basically trading something you value, your money, which, let's face it, represents your time, your effort, your energy, for something else you value. Whether that's a physical product or, an intangible service, it's essentially a mutual recognition of worth.
And that shift in perception, just shifting from medium of exchange to expression of value, that's incredibly powerful. It really is. It fundamentally transforms not just how we view money, but actually how we understand wealth itself and how it's created. See, when we adopt this perspective, it helps us sort of untangle money from all the moral baggage we often, maybe unconsciously, heap upon it. The old saying, money is the root of all evil. that kind of thinking. That sentiment often leads us to view wealthy individuals with maybe a bit of suspicion. We instinctively wonder, oh, who do they take advantage of? Or what compromises did they make? And that often blinds us to the immense value they might have actually created to generate that wealth in the first place. This mindset, well, it can be incredibly limiting. It can almost subconsciously sabotage our own financial aspirations because we start associating wealth with something inherently negative or, morally questionable. But if money truly represents value, that it isn't intrinsically good or evil. It just isn't. Its moral implications are entirely shaped by our choices, by what we do with it. Yeah, of course, scammers exist. Bad actors are out there. But their actions are a reflection of their individual ethics, not some inherent condemnation of money itself. Money, in its purest form, just amplifies your options. It expands your horizons, gives you more avenues for choice. Your decisions ultimately dictate its moral implications and its impact on the world. Just think about it for a second. If an entrepreneur develops, say, a breakthrough product that genuinely solves a widespread problem, something people really struggle with, or provides a service that significantly simplifies the lives of millions, and they become wealthy from that endeavor, their financial success is really a direct consequence, a reflection of the immense value they've brought to the market, the money they receive. It's merely a testament to that value. It's like a scorecard for value creation. So this reorientation, understanding that money is value, it changes everything. It really does. It reframes the whole pursuit of wealth and stops being this perceived zero-sum gain, where one person's gain automatically means another's loss. Instead, it becomes this dynamic of creation, of innovation, and often mutual benefit.
Now, I should be clear here. This isn't yet like immediate actionable advice for someone maybe grappling with credit card debt right now or living paycheck to paycheck. We get that. Simply acknowledging that money signifies value won't magically erase your balances, unfortunately. However, it is an absolutely critical foundational shift, a shift in awareness. It's a crucial first step in how you think about wealth and about your own financial potential. It allows you to approach financial challenges maybe not as these insurmountable obstacles, but perhaps as opportunities to create or recognize value in new ways. And this insight, well, it invites a truly personal reflection. Once you start to view money as an expression of value, what does your personal relationship with it reveal about you? Do you primarily see yourself as a recipient of value or as a creator of it?
That's a really profound reframing,
Yeah.
connecting it so deeply to the core of our financial behaviors. Okay, so building on that idea of perceived value, let's now look at how that value actually, enters your life and, crucially, how it leaves. We often describe this ebb and flow using terms like income and expenses, which is fine, but I find a more insightful, maybe more actionable framework is thinking about it as your production versus your consumption. For most of us, money flows into our lives because we have produced some form of value. Okay. This usually manifests through our labor, our job, basically. We apply our skills, we invest our time, we solve problems for our employer, or maybe we create something tangible. And for that contribution, for that production, we get compensated. That's our production side. Conversely, money flows out of our lives when we consume something. Think about your monthly streaming subscriptions, Netflix, Spotify, all those, the down payment on a new car, your rent or mortgage payment for your home, even your daily cup of coffee. These are all acts of consumption. You're exchanging money for goods or services that fulfill a need, maybe a want, or perhaps simply provide enjoyment. Now, when we look at an individual's net worth, this is interesting, it becomes an incredibly revealing metric. It really helps us understand this delicate relationship, this balance between their consumption and their production, right? And here's where the implications really crystallize. An individual's net worth fundamentally reflects how much value they've managed to retain from their production after you account for all their consumption. Simple as that. So if your net worth is consistently growing over time, it's a pretty strong signal that you are producing more value than you are consuming. Or at the very least, you're strategically consuming less than you produce. There's a gap. If your net worth stays flat, just stagnant, or worse, if it starts to decline, well, that's a clear indicator that this critical balance is out of alignment. Something's off. Let's loop back to those examples from the beginning. Mike Tyson's bankruptcy, right? Or that astonishing statistic about high earners living paycheck to paycheck. In those cases, where do you think the primary imbalance in the production versus consumption relationship occurred? What went wrong? I mean, their capacity to produce, to generate significant income was undeniably there. Huge incomes in some cases. Yet, their stark financial realities tell a very, very different story about their consumption habits, don't they? So take a moment, think about this for yourself. Considering all the money that has ever entered your life, over all the years, and all the money that has subsequently flowed out, how much of that value do you still possess today? either directly, in savings or maybe invested in assets that are now working to produce more value for you. Which side of this equation, your production or your consumption, feels most out of balance for you right now? Asking yourself that question is actually a really powerful diagnostic tool. It points directly to where your financial focus might need to be.
It's a very astute observation. And it illuminates a crucial point, I think. While both production and consumption are undeniably critical components of our financial lives, you need both for the vast majority of people. The most immediate and impactful challenge, the one that often precipitates financial distress, stems directly from consumption. To expand on your point, just consider that study we referenced earlier again. 78% of American workers living paycheck to paycheck. 78%. And even within that segment earning $100,000 more annually, a full 1 in 10 faces the exact same precarious struggle. Now, when an individual earns an income well above the national average, an amount that, let's be honest, in most regions should easily cover the cost of living with plenty of room to spare, yet they still manage to deplete every single dollar that comes in. Well, it sends an unambiguous signal, doesn't it? It tells us with compelling clarity that the consumption side of their financial equation demands urgent attention, urgent correction. And crucially, it needs fixing before any significant focus is placed on strategies just to increase production, to earn more. Because trying to earn more money without addressing runaway consumption, it's exactly like trying to fill a bucket that has a massive hole in the bottom. No matter how fast you pour water in, it's never going to hold it. It just leaks out.
Yeah, and this brings us to a really vital insight, a critical takeaway. As the experiences of numerous wealthy individuals who have somehow, against all odds, declared bankruptcy vividly demonstrate, Mike Tyson being, a prime high-profile example, an incredible capacity for production for earning significant sums of money ultimately amounts to almost nothing if there's an unaddressed fundamental issue with consumption. It's like having access to this incredibly potent high-performance engine in a fancy sports car. But that car has a massive unsealed fuel leak. No matter how much premium fuel you pump into the tank, that car is simply not going to get you reliably to your destination. It just won't. In fact, you might even run completely dry mid-journey, stranded, despite having started with what seemed like an overflowing tank. So the profound realization here is this.
Financial mastery isn't simply about how much value you manage to produce, how big your income is. It is fundamentally about the crucial gap between the value you produce and the value you actually retain. It's about how much of that hard-earned value you are able to keep and then strategically put to work for your future self. If that gap consistently hovers around zero month after month, or worse, if it slips into the negative where you're spending more than you make, then truly, no amount of in-grace production, no raise or promotion will sustainably solve your underlying financial vulnerability. Not in the long run. The consumption side simply must be brought under conscious control first. That's the foundation.
That's a really powerful analogy. The leaky fuel tank, that hits home. Okay, so what's the core takeaway here for folks listening? We frequently hear this evocative term, rat race.
Right.
It gets thrown around quite a bit, sometimes maybe a bit unfairly, to sort of characterize a standard 9-to-5 job as inherently negative or soul-crushing. But a real rat race isn't necessarily about the job itself. It's about the terrifying experience of living on a precarious financial edge, constantly teetering. Just one paycheck, one unexpected bill, away from potential financial ruin. It's that pervasive, deeply unsettling sensation where money enters your life, your paycheck lands in your bank account, and almost instantaneously, poof, it vanishes. It's already pre-allocated. Bills, debt repayments, immediate necessities, leaving virtually no breathing room, no surplus, and certainly no margin for error. And as you accumulate more responsibilities in life, a mortgage, car payments, the rising cost of raising children, ever-growing list of subscriptions for everything, this financial tightrope walk becomes exponentially more perilous. The stakes get higher. The unforeseen loss of a job, a sudden and significant health issue, any unexpected life circumstance. It has the potential to completely decimate your financial world. Just pull the rug out from under everything you thought was stable.
Yeah, and this is where it gets really captivating, I think. The psychological, the emotional toll of existing on this perpetual financial edge. It's immense. It's often really underestimated. Your work, your job, it stops being a choice, maybe, or a path to fulfillment. It transforms into this desperate, sometimes grueling necessity. You're doing it simply to maintain your current lifestyle, or maybe just to service an ever-increasing mountain of debt. You're not really working toward a meaningful future. You're just running at full speed on a treadmill just to remain in the exact same spot. It's exhausting. As Tyler Durden, that memorable character from Fight Club, famously said, the things you own end up owning you. It's so true. Your possessions, your chosen lifestyle, the debts you've accumulated, they subtly morph into these invisible shackles. They start dictating your every financial decision rather than you exercising conscious control over your own destiny.
But, and this is important, there's a profound liberating silver lining to all of this.
Yeah.
It absolutely does not have to be this way. You can escape this trap. The very first and arguably most crucial stepping stone in reclaiming your personal finance is cultivating a deep awareness of your unique relationship with money. And this often begins with something deceptively simple, yet incredibly effective, meticulously tracking your monthly expenses. Yeah, actually engaging in the detailed, almost forensic act of categorizing every single dollar that leaves your pocket. Housing, transportation, food, utilities, entertainment, personal care, subscriptions, everything. It's about creating this comprehensive, totally unvarnished map of precisely where every penny goes. And at this initial stage, look, it's not about judgment. It's not about beating yourself up. It's about pure, unadulterated understanding. Understanding yourself as a consumer. Now, let's be honest, okay? This part is genuinely tough for many people. It really is. Behavioral finance actually has a well-documented phenomenon they call the ostrich effect. You heard of this? It's our inherent psychological tendency to deliberately avoid negative financial information. We just don't want to know. It's that familiar sinking dread you feel when you hesitate to check your bank balance after maybe an unexpectedly lavish weekend, or that impulse to just postpone opening a bill you know is going to be substantial. We instinctively want to bury our heads in the sand, right? Hoping to somehow escape confronting unpleasant financial realities. But that very avoidance, while entirely understandable on a human level, is precisely what perpetuates the rat race. It keeps you stuck. Pushing past that initial, often uncomfortable resistance is the definitive key. It's the key to unlocking true financial control.
That's a crucial point about the ostrich effect. Our own psychological wiring often works directly against our financial well-being. It's fascinating, really. And acknowledging that innate human tendency, that urge to avoid uncomfortable truths, is the very first and indeed most vital step in overcoming it. You just have to be willing. You have to be willing to confront the raw numbers no matter how daunting they might appear initially. Just rip the Band-Aid off. Okay, so once you push beyond that initial discomfort of just observing your spending patterns, the next logical and empowering step is to proactively seize control. Take the reins of your consumer behavior. And this brings us directly to the indispensable practice of budgeting. Now, a critical question emerges here. Are you consciously deciding each month precisely how much you plan to allocate to each spending category? And this is a really crucial part. Are you adhering to those plans? Are you sticking to it? Look, budgeting is not about deprivation. It's not about misery. It's actually a powerful tool for making deliberate, conscious choices with your money. Empowering choices. It involves systematically evaluating your consumption, identifying areas where you can judiciously minimize unnecessary expenditures, and ultimately cultivating a lifestyle where you consistently live below your means. Right, and to truly unpack what living below your means entails, it's far more than just some vague feel-good aspiration. It's concrete. It signifies establishing and consistently maintaining a lifestyle where after all your essential expenses are covered, your shelter, food, transportation, utilities, the absolute necessities, you consistently have a meaningful surplus of money remaining every single month. And this surplus, it isn't merely leftover cash to blow. No, it's strategically designated for saving and eventually investing. It's about consciously creating this margin, this gap, month after month, year after year. That's the goal. And crucially, before you even begin to contemplate investing in maybe more complex assets like stocks or real estate, a cornerstone of sound personal finance, really job number one, is the establishment of an emergency fund. This isn't just a general savings account, okay? It's a specific dedicated reserve. Usually the advice is 3 to 6 months worth of your essential living expenses. And it's held in an easily accessible, yet ideally separate account, not mixed with your checking. This fund acts as your indispensable financial safety net. It provides that vital buffer against life's inevitable and unforeseen curveballs. A sudden job loss, an unexpected medical emergency, a significant car repair, a major home maintenance issue. Stuff happens. It prevents you from being forced back into debt or pushed back onto that precarious financial edge, safeguarding all the progress you've made. So this naturally leads us to a fascinating question, doesn't it? Given all the logical benefits of financial stability, why would any of us consciously choose to maintain a lifestyle we can't truly afford? Why live in a way that continually keeps us on that razor's edge? It seems illogical. Well, the answer often lies deep within our psychology. It's driven by other potent cognitive biases, those subtle mental shortcuts, those glitches in our thinking that can effortlessly derail even our best financial intentions. One such powerful bias is called hyperbolic discounting. Heard of this one? This is our inherent human tendency to place a disproportionately higher value on smaller, immediate rewards over larger, more beneficial rewards that are only available way off in the distant future. It's the insidious allure of instant gratification. It's powerful. It's that magnetic pull of buying that brand new pair of sneakers right now, experiencing the immediate thrill of a fresh purchase. Instead of diligently saving that same money towards a far more significant future investment, like retirement or a down payment, that could yield exponentially greater returns over time. The immediate reward, no matter how small it might be, it just feels more tangible, more compelling, somehow more real than a future, abstract benefit way down the road. Right, and adding another layer to this complex picture is the pervasive influence of social proof. This is our innate tendency to observe and then unconsciously emulate the thoughts and behaviors of those around us. We want to conform to perceived group norms. It's human nature. So when your closest friends are all enthusiastically discussing some newly released gadget or they're excitedly planning an extravagant vacation, you become significantly more likely to feel this subconscious urge to purchase that same item or to participate in a similar experience yourself, even if you can't really afford it. Or, maybe in a more subtle but equally damaging way, if the social circles you identify with hold negative views about wealth, perhaps associating money with greed or exploitation, you might unconsciously internalize those beliefs. And that can subtly sabotage your own efforts at financial growth and security without you even realizing it. This psychological phenomenon leads directly to that classic phrase, keeping up with the Joneses. We've all heard it. This idiom perfectly encapsulates the relentless problem of consumption driven purely by social pressure. It's not merely about personal desire anymore. It's about this deeply ingrained, often subconscious, drive to emulate or maybe even outcompete others. They acquire a new luxury car, and suddenly you feel this compelling, almost irresistible pressure to upgrade yours, even if your current car is perfectly fine. They embark on an extensive home renovation, and suddenly you start meticulously planning your own, browsing Pinterest for hours. And in today's hyper-connected world, let's be real. The Joneses are no longer just your literal next-door neighbors. Not even close. Their influence is far more pervasive now, and it's amplified massively. Think about curated social media feeds. They showcase these idealized lifestyles, endless aspirational purchases, creating an almost ceaseless external pressure to match or even surpass these perceived standards. It effectively transforms consumption into this weird competitive sport, fueled entirely by external validation and comparison. Look, we are by our very nature profoundly vulnerable to social approval. We just are. We care deeply about how others perceive us. It's wired into us. But the danger truly emerges when we begin to measure our fundamental self-worth, our value as individuals, primarily through that external validation, through the number of likes on a social media post or the perceived impressiveness of our material possessions, rather than cultivating a robust foundation of internal financial stability and genuine peace of mind. That's where the trouble starts. As the governor of the Bank of Canada once succinctly put it, for most Canadians, debt is a fact of life, at least at some point. And this isn't just a Canadian phenomenon, obviously. It's a universal human reality. It's deeply influenced by these powerful psychological tendencies and societal pressures that make the conscious choice to live below our means a constant, ongoing challenge. It takes effort. Understanding these forces, though, is the absolute first step in actively counteracting them, bringing them into the light.
That's a really powerful analysis. Yeah, those hidden forces driving our consumption. It's kind of scary when you think about it. Okay, so what's the overarching message here? Let's be absolutely clear, right? We're not in any way suggesting that purchasing, I don't know, a beautiful item of clothing or a piece of jewelry you love or even a high-performance sports car, if that's your thing, is inherently bad. Not at all. Nor are we arguing that enjoying consumption in general is somehow a negative thing. That's not the point. The central aim of this deep dive isn't really to engage in some philosophical debate about the repercussions of a materialistic worldview. Rather, it's about profoundly raising your awareness of who you are as a consumer. It compels you, hopefully, to ask yourself a fundamental question. Do you truly care more about appearing to have money, projecting an image? Or are you genuinely focused on actually having money, building substantial wealth, real financial security? That truly is the critical distinction. It makes all the difference. The true rat race, as we see it, isn't simply holding down a job, even a demanding one. It's living so precariously on that financial edge that you are in this relentless, exhausting chase for the next thing, whether it's the next paycheck just to cover bills or the next material possession to feel okay. And the unfortunate consequence is that your larger life goals, your deepest ambitions, your dreams, they get perpetually pushed into the background, indefinitely postponed. You're just running to stay afloat, not really to advance towards a meaningful destination. And the proven remedies, the things that help you escape this cycle time and time again, have been shown to be the consistent application of a well-thought-out budget and meticulous expense tracking, awareness and control. Look, it's incredibly enjoyable to fantasize about making a lot of money, right? Or to imagine possessing vast wealth. Who doesn't? But what is the real point of that whole pursuit if your relationship with consumption means you're basically destined to lose it all anyway? Or maybe to be condemned to work relentlessly nonstop, just to fund an ultimately unsustainable lifestyle? That, my friends, is the true rat race. But having thoroughly explored the consumption side of the equation, let's now pivot our focus. Let's talk about the equally critical aspect, making money, or as we've framed it, the production side. Okay, let's unpack this crucial other half, the production piece. While frugality and, the astute management of expenses are undeniably vital, like we said, the foundational step, they really only represent one side of the financial coin. Many influential voices in personal finance, people behind popular channels like Graham Stephan's or Dave Ramsey's show, they excel at teaching consumption strategies. They're great at showing how to save, how to budget effectively, how to rigorously cut costs. And that advice is incredibly valuable, widely applicable. We need it. But personally, I have often felt a desire for maybe more emphasis on the ability to generate income, on the actual capacity to make money. Now, I understand why there's often less focus on this for a mass audience. It makes sense. It is generally much easier to advise someone on reducing their expenses. Pretty much everyone can find something to cut than it is to, guarantee an increase in income. That's much harder, much more variable. So it makes sense for general advice to often focus on frugality, on what's broadly actionable and controllable. And we see entire communities flourishing around an intense focus on frugality. The FIRE community, financial independence, retire early. That's a prime example. It's a whole movement centered on the strategy of living extremely frugally, aggressively saving and investing as much as possible, as early as possible, with the explicit aim of retiring decades ahead of the traditional schedule. Similarly, minimalists often share a philosophical view on materialism and consumption, frequently embracing frugality as a core guiding principle in their lives. And let me be absolutely clear again. There is absolutely nothing inherently wrong with these strategies, okay? Not at all. They demonstrably work for countless individuals across a wide spectrum of income levels. They provide real paths to greater financial freedom and genuine peace of mind for many. But here's where the true breakthrough insight often lies, I think, and where it gets really interesting. Graham Stephan isn't generating hundreds of thousands of dollars a month from his YouTube channel simply by meticulously cutting coupons.
Right.
That's not how he got there. And Dave Ramsey, with an estimated net worth in the tens of millions, hasn't accumulated that kind of wealth purely by living an incredibly frugal lifestyle himself and just advising others to do the same. These individuals, and many others like them, have moved significantly beyond merely managing their consumption effectively. They are masters of a powerful, yet often overlooked, strategy production at mass scale. They've intuitively grasped, or maybe explicitly learned, that while meticulously controlling consumption is an absolute prerequisite, a non-negotiable, the true engine for accelerating financial growth, for achieving substantial wealth, comes from dramatically expanding your capacity for production. This is where your financial trajectory can truly shift, from linear, steady growth maybe, to potentially exponential growth.
That's a brilliant observation. It really highlights the exponential power that's inherent in value creation, in production. So, expanding on this idea of money as an expression of perceived value, the most impactful, the most transformative way to significantly increase your own value and consequently your income potential is to systematically identify a pervasive problem, a pain point within the market, something lots of people struggle with or desire. Then develop an effective, maybe elegant solution for that specific problem. And then, critically, this is the key part, deliver or sell that solution to a vast audience at scale. This, in essence, is the core principle behind the entrepreneurial route. A truly successful business, one that operates effectively at scale, has the capacity to generate and deliver an enormous amount of value to society, a huge amount. And this dramatically expands your production side of the equation. It allows your production, your value creation, to grow potentially exponentially compared to what you typically earn from a standard job. Because in a standard job, your income is generally tied directly to your hours worked, or your specific role, or maybe a fixed salary range. It's usually capped. But in scalable production, your impact, and thus your potential earnings, are largely uncapped. The sky's the limit, theoretically. Now, having said that, it's absolutely vital to acknowledge up front that the entrepreneurial path isn't for everyone. It just isn't. Nor should everyone necessarily feel pressure to pursue it. Okay? It demands a particular mindset. You need usually a high tolerance for risk, for uncertainty. You need unwavering resilience when you inevitably face setbacks, because you will. And often it requires a very significant investment of time, energy, and sometimes capital. Often all three. It really requires a deep, honest reflection on your own capabilities, your genuine passions, your unique skill sets, and crucially, whether the inherent challenges and the potential rewards of entrepreneurship truly align with your personal goals and your overall life direction. However, even if launching a traditional business, with employees in an office isn't your chosen path, the underlying principle of production at scale remains incredibly relevant and powerful for almost anyone. Consider Graham Stephan again. He strategically leverages platforms like YouTube as a vehicle to produce a specific type of value educational content about personal finance. And he delivers it efficiently to a massive global audience, millions of viewers. He provides genuine educational insight, practical tips, entertainment. And the market, through advertising revenue, sponsorships, course sales, etc., rewards that value generously. Similarly, the creator whose insights we're discussing today, they also strategically chose YouTube as a platform to produce documentary-style videos at mass scale. And over time, this evolved from a side project into a full-time endeavor, enabling them to build a thriving business around their content creation. Yeah, so the core idea then is about consistently providing relative value to the market. Value in some shape or form that people are willing to pay for, either directly by buying a product or service, or indirectly maybe through their attention, which advertisers then pay for. The creator we mentioned skillfully leveraged a unique combination of talents: acting ability, compelling presentation skills, masterful storytelling, expert video editing, a whole bundle of skills. These skills were combined purposefully to create content that was both profoundly educational and highly entertaining. That combination is key. And the market, responding to this valuable offering, engaged enthusiastically, watched the videos, subscribed, shared, propelling their growth. So this naturally leads us to consider your own potential. What form might your production take? What unique value could you offer? Perhaps it's developing an innovative app or piece of software that elegantly solves a specific problem, a problem you believe a broad segment of the market would gladly pay to resolve. Or maybe it's about meticulously building a fitness brand, one that differentiates itself through exceptional branding maybe, or cultivates an incredibly loyal, engaged community online. Much like Ben Francis famously did with Gymshark, starting from his garage. These are all diverse examples, right? Examples of creating distinct value and then efficiently delivering it to a wide, receptive audience. Look, for the vast majority of people, their primary means of production will indeed be through their labor in a standard 9-to-5 job. That's reality. However, this doesn't signify the absolute limit of your ability to produce value. Not at all. Understanding yourself as a producer means continuously evaluating and actively seeking out ways in which you can produce more value for the market, even within the confines of your existing role. This could involve, say, developing specialized skills that are in high demand, taking on more challenging projects that stretch you, mentoring junior colleagues, identifying inefficiencies in your team or company, and proposing concrete solutions. The principle holds. If you can consistently produce value at a larger scale, even within a company, it creates the undeniable opportunity, or at least leverage, to earn money at a larger scale over time. And the internet, thankfully, has just revolutionized this dynamic. It's democratized access in an unprecedented way. It provides incredible opportunities for individuals like you and me to create something, whether it's digital content like this, a specialized online service, a digital product like an ebook or a course, or even a unique physical good sold through e-commerce, and then offer it to a vast, potentially global market with relatively low friction. The beauty and also the challenge, of course, is that the market will then pretty unequivocally determine if what you've produced is truly wanted and how much value it genuinely holds in their eyes. But it empowers you. It empowers you to test your ideas, to scale your impact, and potentially transform your financial reality in ways that were frankly unimaginable just a generation or two ago.
Yeah. That brings a profound sense of agency to the discussion, doesn't it? It's not just about cutting back, it's about building up. Okay, so what's the big picture here? Let's try and consolidate all these interconnected threads. Let's bring it all together into a clear, actionable framework for you listening to understand and hopefully master your finances, moving beyond just, the act of earning a paycheck. So the first pillar, pillar number one, is about cultivating deep awareness as a consumer. This means going beyond merely knowing what you buy to truly comprehending why you make those purchases in the first place. What are the triggers? What are the emotions? And as we discussed, diligently journaling your consumption habits, tracking your spending, is an incredibly potent, often eye-opening tool here. It provides invaluable insights into your spending patterns, your emotional triggers, and those unconscious biases that might be influencing your financial decisions without you even realizing it. Okay, so once that awareness is firmly established, you know where the money's going. Pillar number two is gaining profound control over that consumption. This involves setting a realistic budget, something you can actually stick to, and crucially, rigorously adhering to it. Week after week, month after month. It's a conscious decision, an active choice, to consistently live below your means, to ensure you're creating that vital surplus, that gap each month. And from that surplus, the immediate priority, job one, is building that essential emergency fund. We can't stress that enough. This meticulously crafted financial buffer, your safety net, forms this rock-solid foundation of security. It liberates you from the chronic anxiety of living paycheck to paycheck. This foundation isn't merely advisable. I'd argue it's absolutely non-negotiable for achieving genuine financial health and lasting peace of mind. Only once that foundation is robust, solid, and you're consistently retaining value month after month, only then does the third pillar truly come into its full potential, maximizing your production. This is where you continuously challenge yourself with the question, how can I bring the most profound and scalable value into society? Into the marketplace. Whether that's through excelling and innovating in your current professional role, maybe boldly embarking on an entrepreneurial venture on the side or full-time, or perhaps leveraging other creative avenues to create and deliver value. The ultimate goal is to strategically scale the value you produce, thereby potentially exponentially increasing your income and your overall long-term financial potential.
Hmm. That synthesis beautifully captures the essence of our deep dive today, I think. And what's truly compelling here, what really stands out, is the undeniable synergy between these two seemingly distinct aspects, consumption and production. It's not about exclusively optimizing one or the other in isolation. It's about holistically enhancing both, improving your mindful relationship with consumption and simultaneously expanding your capacity for production. They're two integral sides of the same powerful coin, really. And true, enduring financial mastery emerges from skillfully balancing and continually improving both throughout your life. When we connect this to the broader landscape of personal finance, this comprehensive framework awareness, control, production has consistently proven to be incredibly helpful and genuinely transformative for countless individuals who are truly invested in both making and managing their money effectively, not just one or the other. It transcends simplistic, often temporary financial hacks or quick fixes. It moves towards a more holistic, more enduring understanding of how money truly operates within our lives and maybe what its real purpose should be.
So it asks you, our listener, a final crucial question for today to mull over. Are you actively cultivating both your consumer awareness and your producer mindset? Are you intentionally seeking opportunities to thoughtfully reduce unnecessary consumption to plug those leaks, while simultaneously exploring avenues to significantly expand your capacity for value creation, for production? Ultimately, adopting this integrated approach, thinking about both sides, empowers you to transition, to move from merely chasing money, reacting to financial pressures, to truly understanding, leveraging, and directing its purpose as a powerful expression of value, your value. And this enables you to build not just wealth, not just a bigger bank balance, but genuine financial resilience, unparalleled options in life, and ultimately lasting freedom.
Fantastic summary. We truly hope this deep dive has provided some significant value, some fresh perspective for you today. That's always our goal. Now, for those of you who are eager to maybe delve even deeper into these subjects, there are some truly excellent books out there that offer more extensive reading. On the personal finance side, Managing Consumption, two highly recommended titles are The Millionaire Next Door. It provides fascinating insights into the actual habits of everyday wealthy individuals. Spoiler, they're often quite frugal. And another great one is Your Money or Your Life. It's a really transformative guide helping you align your financial decisions with your deepest life values. Powerful stuff. And if the entrepreneurship and value creation side, the production side, has sparked your interest today, you might find immense benefit in exploring the work of MJ DeMarco. He's known for his refreshingly direct, maybe even controversial, but very actionable perspective on building wealth through scalable value creation. Different approach, combining the powerful insights you've hopefully gained today about mastering your consumption and maximizing your production. Well, that can truly offer a transformative approach to your entire financial journey. It really can. Remember, understanding how to manage your consumption effectively and dramatically enhance your production capacity. It isn't just about the accumulation of wealth for its own sake. It's fundamentally about gaining profound control over your life. It's about significantly broadening your options, your choices, and deliberately crafting a life that is not dictated by the constant pressure of that financial edge, that rat race. So as you move forward from today, maybe consider this provocative thought. If money is, at its core, simply an expression of value, what new value, whether it's big or small, for just a few people or for many, could you begin to create or contribute to the world starting today or this week that could fundamentally and positively shift your financial reality down the road?
Thanks for watching this. See you on next episode. Like, subscribe, and share.